So I don't know how this keeps happening, but we're here to talk about even more Kingdom Hearts 1 secrets. It was only a few days ago that we were talking about the secret behind Merlin's Rocks in Traverse Town. And believe it or not, for this video, we have 6, that's right, 6 secrets to talk about. Stuff that I haven't previously talked about here on the channel before. Some people in the community might know a few of these, but I can guarantee there's going to be at least one here that you didn't know. A couple of days ago, a Reddit user known as Possible Strategy 79 shared what is a completely new find for the game, though some in the comment section believe that this was previously discovered by some speedrunners. However, it's the first time I've ever seen this. They were playing Kingdom Hearts 1 with the Critical Mix mod installed. This is basically a gameplay overhaul, and it adds in various new abilities, including one known as Kinetic Step that allows Sora to double jump. This allows you to reach areas that normally would be inaccessible. This meant that Possible Strategy could actually reach the door that would lead into the Tea Party Garden from the Lotus Forest. Now typically you can't access Tea Party Garden as there is a boulder in the way of the door. This doesn't get removed until you present the evidence to the Queen. But Square Enix actually thought ahead for anyone that might end up being able to exploit the game and reach the second entrance into this area. If you are successful in doing so, you'll come across a small bush, or what is actually a tree apparently, that is sitting in front of the door that would lead you into the roof room. As you can see, I managed to pull this off myself by simply just installing the Fly Anywhere mod created by KSX, allowing us to use the Neverland flight literally anywhere. And this is completely real. There really is a bush that's positioned here before you present the evidence, with a funny text pop-up if you stand exactly, and I mean exactly in this spot, there is a tree in front of the door. It's funny because this is something that Square Enix went out of their way to put into this room for if in case anyone decided to somehow exploit this. I suppose the purpose behind putting the bush here is to stop the player from accessing the roof room, which then acts as a trigger to progress through the world to then access the boss. It makes me think that if we were able to access the door and get into the next room, it would likely perform a complete world skip, allowing us to run straight to the boss. Playing around with the Fly Anywhere mod, I came across something that I've previously never noticed before, though I'm sure, absolutely sure, that people in the community likely know about this. Did you know that the wooden sign that sits on top of the tower in Destiny Islands is actually a chocobo? Chocobos are yet to show up in the Kingdom Hearts games, however, they are cameoed throughout the entire series, and this is yet another one to add to that list. Quite often, I use the NoClip website, which allows you to use a free cam throughout a bunch of different video games. Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 are a part of this, and the website has a neat tool that allows you to activate or deactivate certain assets within a game's map. The other day I noticed that when looking at the treehouse area and activating some of the map assets, I came across some holes here in the treehouse that I've previously never seen broken before. Now, most people in the community know about the floor hole that can be created. This is from encountering Sabor within the treehouse during Deep Jungle. This encounter only happens up until you reach the final boss of Deep Jungle. Once you've defeated the final boss, you won't be able to re-encounter Sabor in the treehouse anymore, and rather, Heartless will spawn. The neat thing about the floor hole is if Sabor creates this upon spawning into the room, this hole is permanent, which is actually a method used to make the Pink Agaricus fight easier. If you create this hole and then get to the end of the game where the Pink Agaricus can spawn, rather than spawning in the treehouse, it'll actually spawn down on the net. Additionally, I also noticed that there is a second floor hole that, again, I have never seen broken before. So I decided to do a little bit of research into this, and I actually did come across 3 posts talking about the additional holes that can be created within the treehouse. However, this post here from Squeedle over on Game FAQs that was created 3 years ago sort of goes into detail, kind of explaining how this worked. To break this down simply, Sabor has an incredibly rare line of code a part of its AI, where on the slightest off chance, it might end up jumping through the wall next to both sides of the door of the treehouse, creating a permanent hole. Not just that, but Sabor can also jump through the junk on top of the dresser, creating a hole that can give you easy access to the ladder that would send you up to the roof of the treehouse most people just simply use the jump and swing method to reach the platform to access the ladder. But I suppose looking at this is Square Enix's intended way of how the player should end up reaching the ladder. Even though to pull either of these holes off, whether we're looking at the front door or the junk on the dresser, is incredibly rare. Because yeah, in order to activate the trigger in Sabor's code so that she can create these holes in the treehouse, it took me ages. 3.5 hours to get just one hole in the front door and breaking the junk on the dresser. I basically gave up trying to get the second hole because it was just this mundane process of killing this cat over and over and over again. Doing countless room resets to hope that I will hit what seems to be the 0.005% chance of activating this line of code within Sabor's AI. It was mundane. Squeedle's recommendation here in the post was that the best chance of activating this is to sort of stand near where these holes get created and try to just avoid the cat, as your party members can't actually kill Sabor. Sora has to take the final swing in order to kill her. I did that for about an hour and basically nothing was happening. My theory on this is that it's something that's activated after Sora performs a finisher on the cat, and depending on where Sora's position is in relation to the wall or of course the dresser with the junk. Even still, the chance of this actually triggering within the code of the cat is so low from the seams, like so low. It took me way too long to try and activate this, and I've never seen this before. And obviously some people have. There are a few posts out there talking about this, but most people, I'm gonna say like 99.9% of people who played Kingdom Hearts 1 will absolutely, unless they strike lucky for their first time fighting Sabor, if they so decide to go to the treehouse to reactivate this encounter, come across the holes actually being triggered. It's one of those absolutely really cool, neat attention to detail things that again makes Kingdom Hearts 1 stand out so much in amongst the other games. And mysteriously, there is actually an additional floor hole. But from what's explained in Squeedle's post, they are aware about this. However, they have no idea how this is activated. I believe that Square Enix were planning on perhaps another trigger point, and they just decided to give up on it in the end, only go with one floor hole, the dresser, and the 2 front holes. Have you guys ever noticed a random flying object way off in the distance in Hollow Bastion? You would never notice this unless you were trying to look for it. I came across it while playing around again with deactivating the skybox on NoClip. There is this really strange flat square that is flying around in Hollow Bastion that can be viewed in-game. Now, using NoClip, there is absolutely no way to catch up with this thing. I spent probably about 15 minutes trying to fly towards it with the highest camera speed possible, and I was just getting nowhere close. So rather, I changed the FOV to get a zoom in on this, and it turns out this is a flat square of a texture of the Hollow Bastion skybox. Now typically with video game design, random floating shapes or things that are off in the distance or outside of the player's view, underneath maps, or just hidden, generally have something to do with the way parts of the environment or lighting or something along those lines are working. I can't really understand though what the purpose of this is, so I decided to do a little bit of research, and some people have been led to believe that perhaps maybe this was the early stages of Aladdin and Carpet's incorporation into the story of Hollow Bastion. In case you don't know, Tetsuya Nomura and Square Enix originally intended for the corresponding Disney princes to come to Hollow Bastion to help save the Disney princesses. And obviously, because Jasmine is one of those princesses who got kidnapped, Aladdin would be one of the princes that would come to the rescue. So the theory is, this is the early stages of Carpet possibly flying off in the distance in the very first castle gates area of Hollow Bastion. As we were talking about in the last secrets video, Neosai is currently going through the Kingdom Hearts 1 Ultimania and translating some of the fun fact sections. Well, another really cool one has popped up. This time it's to do with the Halloween Town platforms. Now, using fire, as we know, will light the lantern underneath, turn the flame red, and the platform will start floating. However, if we use blizzard magic, the flame will turn blue and the platform will stay in one place. The really interesting part about this is the blizzard reactivity for the platform only exists in the very original first ever Japanese version of Kingdom Hearts 1. Looking at the European or American or even the Final Mix version of Kingdom Hearts 1, those versions do not have the blizzard blue flame for the platform. This footage right here is from that very original version playing the game on PCSX2, and yeah, as you can see, we've got the blue flame. My theory behind why Square Enix didn't include this in any other future versions going forward for KH1 is simply because when you extinguish the flame with any other magic, the platform will just remain stationary anyway, so it's kind of pointless to have this unique flame specifically just for Blizzard if its use is the exact same as using any other magics on the platform. But it's kind of cool because this blue flame only exists in one specific version of Kingdom Hearts 1. Have you ever noticed that the lines of the camp menu when you pause the game randomly change color? Now, I did know this, however what I didn't know was you can actually kind of determine what the colors of the lines will be depending on what you're looking at in-game. Now, I say kind of because it doesn't always work, but for instance here, if we're looking at a patch of grass, which is green, and then we pause, the lines are going to be green. If we look at something that's white, the colors will be white. However, it doesn't work on all colors. For instance, if I'm looking at something brown, the colors will sometimes be white or sometimes be a dark or a light blue. However, for white or green objects, this almost always works. Now, one last bonus one that I'm going to throw in here, which I don't think is intentional, and it's probably a case of me looking into it too much because I've got Kingdom Hearts brain rot, but I did notice while I was using the Fly Anywhere mod, flying way out of bounds in Destiny Islands, that the actual map has the shape of a keyhole in it. I feel like this is tinfoil hat type level of stuff, but I felt like it was also appropriate considering the lore behind Destiny Islands. And also it's Tetsuya Nomura. I look at this kind of thing and I'm like, there's probably gotta be a purpose behind it, right? When it comes to Kingdom Hearts, I let literally nothing slide under the radar. Nothing is a coincidence. However, hopefully you guys have learned at least one new thing out of the 6 main things that we've talked about here. It is genuinely insane how many small things Square Enix put into KH1. Just again, unprecedented in any of the other Kingdom Hearts games. This has got to be it though, right? We've been talking about Kingdom Hearts 1 secrets for years now. There are so many, but this has to be the peak, right? And then, like a month will go by and there'll be a new forum post somewhere talking about how there is a hidden Moogle in the bush in deep jungle somewhere. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Slap the like button if you enjoyed, it helps me out a bunch, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Big thank you to my wonderful, wonderful patrons. Thank you guys so much for the ongoing support. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we'll talk again real soon.